Hey everyone, welcome to Level 4, the SAE Auto Drive Challenge podcast. I'm Mike Sorg, the podcast engineer here. With you guys, you're going to see me out there with a video camera this season, and we're looking forward to gearing up for the Auto Drive Challenge coming up. With us today, we're going to be chatting with a few of the mentors from General Motors. And see kind of how they get into things, kind of how they're looking at the competition as well. Maybe a little get to know you with them as well, with their background. First of all, with us is Bill Materna. He's a mentor for Kettering University. How you doing, Bill?
Hi, doing great.
And then we also have Akram Abdel-Rahman. He is a University of Waterloo mentor as well. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
And also on the line with us today is Matthew Boyle. He's a mentor with Texas A&M, and also I understand he's also known as the mentor of mentors as well. Is that right, Matthew?
Hi, Michael. Yes, that is correct. I mentor the mentors, as well as have the pleasure of working with Texas A&M.
Fantastic. Well, let's get into it then. Again, getting to know you here as we are doing today. Where did you attend college, and were you involved with any student programs while you were there?
Yeah, so for me, I actually attended Kettering, so it was a bit of a homecoming for me. When I attended, I wasn't directly involved in any SAE programs. My activities probably were more alumni engagement oriented. I seemed to be drawn to that. Kettering has a student alumni council. I was president of that, and my fraternity, I was alumni coordinator with that as well.
So I went to University of Waterloo, so same as Bill, going back to home, and I would say I was involved casually. In my master's degree, I had some involvement with SAE formula. But nothing too engaged with that. Just helping with a specific part. But I've also helped in like high school, being a judge in like science projects in high school levels while I'm at university.
So I went to a smaller college called the State University of New York Maritime College. It's a hands-on merchant marine academy in the middle of, or the edge of New York City, in the Bronx. And we didn't have any projects outside of your normal lab-type projects, but we did have a large ship, and we would ship out every summer for 2 months on this 600-foot converted troop ship. And we got to learn all about the merchant marines, and we got to visit 3 or 4 ports around the world each year.
Excellent. So how did you guys get your start with a career at General Motors?
I've been at GM for 8 years now. Right after grad school from Waterloo, University of Waterloo. My research then was very related to the interests back then by GM. So that created some discussions, and was able to land this job and learn much more. Right now, what I do right now is completely different than what I did in at school. So it's nice to look back and see how you kind of developed and grew, which is an interesting thing about GM, that they kind of teach you and foster you to be versatile and able to move laterally as well as longitudinally as well. So it's been quite nice 8 years so far.
Yeah, for me, Kettering is a co-op based college, so a number of my classmates may have been part of like a GM or a Ford, but for me, I was in a programming slot. We called them sponsors back in the day, so I was not automotive. But after I graduated, I was able to take advantage of an opportunity to join GM about 2 years after I graduated. So that was my first foray into directly working for an OEM. So for me, I started at the old GM Truck Engineering, and that was, as a warranty analyst, so a very data driven assignment. Probably not real exciting, but it was a good place to get my feet wet in GM.
Well, after graduation, I worked for General Electric Aerospace, and I resigned there and joined GM to become an embedded controls engineer, working in powertrain on engine and transmission control systems. It was a new organization for GM that was starting the first in-house embedded controls and software team, and they were trying to create a common software across GM's platforms. So I was a software engineer and began working on diagnostics, which were used to make our vehicles compliant for meeting federal emission standards.
So, why did you guys want to be an auto drive mentor, and what do you feel is the most rewarding about that experience?
I think the most rewarding is, interacting with the students, seeing that, yeah, much earlier or still starting their careers, very enthusiastic, very have a lot of drive and zeal to change the world. I think what really makes me so fascinated is how much they're filling their time, um, how much they're filling their time while at school, that their free time they're dedicating to different competitions and different concerns and so forth, which you kind of lose touch with in the working environment. People become stagnant and not really having that drive. I've learned so much from how they approach the challenge, and what how fast they learn new tools and so forth, so that they kind of stand out in the competition. So that has been very exciting for me, and definitely every time I interact with students or visit university campus, you kind of get this, as if someone's poking you to to increase your zeal and increase your enthusiasm in your career. So that has been definitely a great experience for me so far.
I mean, to me, it was the challenge. Really, was awesome. I just love the idea of the challenge. That, these students get to take a real car that we make, and they get to work on and modify it, put their ideas into it, and test them out and challenge against other students. It's just really cool. But for me, also, I've done a lot of coaching of student robotic teams. Uh, as my son has grown up, and my daughter, and so I've gotten a lot out of those experiences too. So this to me was in the same vein. And then I also think just that there was a chance for me to be assigned as the mentor to my alma mater. There was no guarantee of that, but I was hopeful, knowing that they were participating, and I was lucky enough to be assigned to them. So for me, that's really what stuck out for me.
So I spent a few years with another program called EcoCar, which is a multi-year collegiate competition, and their goal is to design and develop fuel-efficient technologies on a vehicle that gets donated by GM. And I had also been leading an autonomous vehicle controls team for the past year, and I thought it'd be really great to try to combine those two concepts and jump into the new Auto Drive Challenge. The most rewarding aspect is really the students, engaging with the students and learning what their thoughts are on the technologies and the autonomous vehicle industry and its impacts on society and how it fits in. It leads to some pretty great discussions, and it's a good two-way learning experience between myself and the students.
Excellent. So, what is the most exciting new technology-driven project you've worked on or are working on currently that you're able to share with the audience, of course?
So I work in advanced technology or advanced development, which is basically developing in advance, which means that you think of things and take risk at uh, coming up with new features and new systems that can be integrated in our vehicles. Um, so I've recently been more involved in what we call advanced tradering features, which is improving the whole experience for our customers when towing traders and so forth. There's of course a lot of pain points that customers face, and we try to focus on certain pain points and address from an active safety perspective. It's good to see some of these features coming out in this model year, such as something called Invisible Trader that's coming up in the 2020 GMC Sierra. So it kind of removes the pain point of not being able to see behind the trader while driving down the highway. That's what I can share right now because it's out there, but there's more exciting things that we're working on as well.
Yeah, the most exciting project that I've had in my career is definitely being part of this team launching Super Cruise right now. So I have responsibility for what I term as the brain of the system. So, for me, and I've seen a lot of articles, a lot of shows that have talked about the system, and and I see them talk about how well it performs and that the execution is great. I mean, I get a real sense of accomplishment out of that. So, this is the first true hands-free driving system that's on the road. So, it's just great to be part of that.
So I've actually worked on some pretty good programs throughout my years. I worked in GM's electrification hybrid programs area for quite a number of years. So I got to work on the launch of the Chevy Volt, which was a really cool new technology to get out in the marketplace, all the way through to working on the Chevy Bolt, which is the electric vehicle, which was the donation vehicle for this competition. Both of those were really challenging new technologies, and corporate-wise, we had a very aggressive timing to get those new technologies out to market. And I also got to work on our autonomous vehicle program with Cruise Automation. It was amazing to get into a Cruise autonomous Chevy Bolt and have it navigate the streets and traffic in San Francisco. So that was probably my coolest adventure as I worked through those different technologies.
The students are looking forward to hopefully careers in engineering similar to what you guys are doing. What is the most challenging experience you guys have had in your engineering career?
Not sure if I can single out a specific challenge, but I think the nature of the work that we work on is, there's always something new technologies, and something completely new to you that you kind of need to learn and see how we could integrate that in our vehicles. So always whenever there's a transition that you move from one area to another or from one technology to another, um, it's kind of like a personal challenge to kind of reprove yourself that you're able to get up on your feet and contribute in a completely new area for you. And I think that's a general nature of being in advanced development, that you're kind of developing something new, hasn't been done before, and it's not necessarily that you have expertise in that area given. So I think every time you kind of transition from one project to the other, it's challenging. Can't really talk too specifically. There is one project that I can think about, but I can't really be too explicit to mention.
I'd say, in my course of my career, I've had a number of assignments as a design release engineer. And and in our company, it's a very critical position, and you're always under the gun to help deliver. In my case, it was electronic modules, but to deliver these parts on time with quality, and at the cost you need to. And each time, that I've had this role, there's always something that you run into that are looking to derail, delivering on all three of those points. And, it might be, a flaw that was found during testing, that you need to find a root cause and get it fixed, or it might be something legislatively that's changed, where it introduces a new aspect that you have to meet, that you didn't plan on, or it could be something. We've had cases where we've had supply chain issues, whether it might be due to a natural disaster or something, and now you've got to pivot away from what you planned to put in the part, find another alternative. For me, that's probably the most challenging thing. But I would say just at the end of it, you still get the reward of seeing your part come down, on a car, come down the line, and know that you were responsible for it.
Yeah, I think challenges come in many forms. I think it was my very first job. I didn't have the benefit from doing an internship or a really cool project such as AutoDrive. So I had no idea what work was like or what to expect in an engineering company. It was a major change to go from campus life to my normal hours to a work week and regular office hours. Luckily, there were lots of new coworkers who helped me learn those ropes and get through an adjustment period. But I still remember just how dead tired I was the first week of real world work. So I think that was probably the biggest challenge, was actually entering the workforce swinging out of college.
Of course, you guys have seen at least the first year of the Auto Drive Challenge events. Would you ride in an autonomous car built by one of the students of the Auto Drive Challenge?
Oh, absolutely. I would do it in a safety approved, non public road course with no other moving objects. And actually, I really would, based on the firsthand experiences I've had with the students from all the different universities and seeing their year one competition vehicles in action, I would most definitely ride in a vehicle built by students in the Auto Drive Challenge.
Yeah, I think, it comes down to the scenarios, right? Like reaching full autonomous is a stretch that covers, especially if we're talking about all the different scenarios. And if you look now, the uh, the nature of autonomous driving is kind of creeping in through um, divided scenarios, so parking, highway driving, and so forth. But once you get into the harder scenarios, city driving, pedestrians, and so forth, then becomes very challenging, and it's very hard to sit in a vehicle. It takes time. I think if you experience one bad experience, then you kind of lose trust in the system. So I hope we can reach there. That one day we can ride in vehicles designed by students. But right now, I think still some trust earning needs to be earned, I guess.
I agree with what Akram's saying. I honestly, I'm a little nervous too thinking about it, but I guess what I fall back on is the students explain what they're putting into the software in terms of safety measures, whether it's redundancy, whether it's the integrity of the physical components or backup components. They go through and they explain all that, and you see them work on it as a mentor through the course of the development period leading up to it. So yeah, I'm nervous, but I know what they put into it, so I'll sign up for it.
Excellent. What piece of advice would you give to aspiring engineers out there?
Well, I think uh, being part of this competition as a mentor, it's one of the rare occasions that I kind of miss school. Um, kind of envy students having such a awesome opportunity to learn and grow. So I think it's, of course, after the fact, it's easier to see the benefits or the opportunity that you had. But I think the advice I would have is, try to seize this opportunity to kind of learn and grow. Not necessarily just to have it on your resume, but really to become a niche and wanted talent in the industry, that you have companies running after you to join them. So I think my advice is this is an amazing opportunity, and you should take full advantage of it as much as you can.
I think my approach on the advice front would be active engagement. And by that, I mean being engaged with your work, get engaged with your coworkers, be engaged with your community, intentionally ask questions, seek input, explain your position and your thoughts, and get into secondary assignments, take on side projects, volunteer to help out on any front that you can. Because I think that level of active engagement keeps you energized, and it makes for a great long career.
Yeah, and looking beyond even this opportunity, I'd say just in general, it's about finding the things that you're passionate about and looking for a way to bring that into your career. Because chances are you're not going to find your perfect dream job, but a lot of positions do offer a chance to tap into some of those things, and plus a lot of times you can shape the opportunities that you do have, I think, to a degree, if you're taking an initiative and pushing to change them kind of in ways that maybe make them more meaningful or rewarding to you.
I feel like I should ask as well. Tell me a little bit more about being the mentor of mentors, as the title you're giving.
Sure. So as the mentor of mentors, my role is to host a weekly meeting with the mentors, and we have some other folks like our own program management and some of the good folks from SAE getting together. And the goal is to make sure that the mentors are all with the same level of understanding, and that we have the same approach and same types of interactions. And so I'm really trying to ensure that the mentor experience for each individual team is consistent across those teams. And it's a really good information sharing that the mentor meeting and the mentors have, that I think ultimately makes sure that they're providing better input into each team versus if they were just doing it on their own.
Excellent. Hey, it's been great talking with you guys. Do you have any parting words for all the teams competing in the challenge this year?
Well, I expect it was great to see the teams in the year one competition, and it was great to see the growth that they had. I am really looking forward to the year two competition, and I know I will be thoroughly impressed with each and every team's team membership, camaraderie, and of course the vehicles and systems that they'll be bringing, running, and operating. So I'm really energized and looking forward to the year two challenge.
Well, good luck, everyone. As long as Waterloo wins, I'm happy.
We'll see about that, Akram. We'll see about that. Thanks, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
Excellent. Looks like the competition is getting heated just amongst the mentors here, so I'm looking forward to see how this goes this season. Really looking forward to it, and of course, everybody, please go check out everything going on with it, with the podcast in the notes for this. We'll have links for you as well. And until next time, stay safe out there. Thank you for listening to Level 4, the SAE Auto Drive Challenge podcast. Make sure you download our app on your smartphone for updates and contact information. The show notes for this episode and all others can be found at autodrive.fireside.fm.